else to let us have access to. And we need to think about this again and again, different ways of doing things. We've got, and this is another surprise, because this is not everything about Britain, it's just about Britain. You know that Scotland, below national level, we are the least democratic country in the developed world. By, not by that much, not by that much. England's nearly as bad, but even England's better. We are bad by that much. And I can't remember all the figures, but I mean, we've got a local authority area in Scotland, which land mass is bigger than Belgium. Who's that local? I live in the central belt. My local authority, I live in Biggar, which is 40 miles outside Edinburgh, which makes Edinburgh closer to me than my local authority, which is in Hamilton. And that's local. We're adopting a child at the moment, and we've got to go to do all the sessions in Hamilton. And we they schedule them to give us time to get there from work. Well, I don't know where they think we all work, but I'm 40 miles away from this place. Local in what sense? The town of Kirkcaldy seems to me to be a decent-sized town. Seems to me to be a coherent entity. It's not even got the capacity of its own volition to do anything for itself. Like my wee town of Biggar. There's 3,000, 4,000 of us. We are a coherent community. There's a strong sense of community, a strong sense of what we want from our town. Every one single one of the 4,000 of us was to collectively vote to put a plaque up on the wall. The sole volition that we've got is to send one councillor, and he's useless, one councillor away to Hamilton to beg the Labour local authority if we could put our plaque up. And quite often he just goes, no. And he just comes home, he's a Tory. He just comes home and says, oh no, they didn't let us. That's democracy. We need to democratise. Because one of the things, if I'm going to be philosophical for a second, one of the things which I feel very strongly when people talk about nationalism is, and people say to me, well, I'm not a nationalist, but, and that's very common on the left, I'm not a nationalist, but, well, a couple of things I want to say about that. If you're not a nationalist, what are you? Fascist? An anarchist? An anarcho-syndicalist? Would you like to replace a nation with a kingdom? Or an empire? Or a theocracy? A nation, for all its strengths and all its weaknesses, is really a wonderful thing. You draw a circle, and you say, I don't care how you got in this circle, don't care who your parents were, where you came from, the colour of your skin. The people inside this circle, we're a community. And the democratic nation state says whoever's inside that circle is an equal part in that society. And I think that is a wonderful, wonderful way to organise the world. There's none better. I'm a proud, small N nationalist. And there's an importance in this debate as well. I spoke at the disabled group this morning, and I was doing an interview this afternoon. And in the interview they were asking me about this. What's the philosophy of these things? Well, there's something very specific that I think is important. In the past, and I'm not a doctrinaire left, I don't have a lot of patience for it, I don't like the shouting, I don't like the arm punching, and class warfare isn't really the thing that rings my bell. But yeah, social class used to be important. It used to be a key thing which was about how you analysed the reason that people were poor, but it's not really the primary reason anymore. What we have got is a global system of corporate power, largely backed up by international legal frameworks, the World Trade Organization, International Monetary Fund, EU, OECD, etc., etc., and a whole bunch of trade agreements. And that global power has done everything it can to make sure that we, as people, as humans, have no say, have no option. The rule says that you can do this and you can do this. The Scottish Whisky Association can rip the piss out of this country every time it wants, just by saying, I'll take you to law, I'll take you to court. My God, how many times does an industry utterly predicated on our heritage going to take us to the court to stop us expressing our democratic will? My God, I hate the Scottish Whisky Association. And as a whisky drinker and a key whisky drinker, we've got this problem of global international legal frameworks. And one of the reasons why, all the way through this campaign, I keep saying to people, don't be ashamed of being a nationalist. Because a nationalist is a way of describing a democratic system, which to my mind is the only democratic option, the only option that we've got for counterbalancing international power. My guess is the 21st century, if it's going to be worth having, it's going to be a battle between democracy and global corporate power. And the ability to make global corporate power serve people and not the other way around will be the victory we will win or we will lose. And this victory, I hope, is one which shows something very important. Because I went in the demo, 15,000, 20,000, whatever we're going to use. I went in the demo 2 weekends ago, and I deliberately started at the front. I didn't spend too long with women for India, didn't really feel qualified, but I did stop to see my sister, who's very active. And I worked my way backwards through the National Collective, and back again through some of the local groups. We've got good friends and back a bit further where I got to the Radical Indie people who I'm involved with. And then I went back a wee bit, and between them and the Greens were the Gaels for Independence, which I would have stayed with because they had the best pipers, but really, I couldn't sing along. they had these chants and they sounded great, I had no idea what it was. I moved my way back to the Greens, but I walked down, and I looked behind me and there was another pile of people, and I could see, unsurprisingly, the socialists, not that organised, right at the back, and I'd gone to see them because I've got good friends there as well, but by this point enough. And I marched up, and the same thing came up everywhere, over and over again. You know how many people said to me, bloody English? Zero. The number of people to me that said, get them out of our country was absolutely zero. And the number of people that said to me, my God, the chance of a fresh start, the chance of a new direction, the chance to do something different, that was 100%. Every single one of them. And I stood, one of the things that really bothers me, and I think that one day everyone involved will consider themselves cloaked in shame, is some of the strategies that Better Together have been using. I'm all for contested debate, and I'm a pluralist, and I think it's important. But the way that they have narrated, they've curated a story that this is a nasty campaign, that it's all bile and bitterness, and that you better not join in, and you better not voice an opinion, because if you do, you'll get your head shot off. It's an outright lie. It's an absolute outright lie. Because I've been in town halls like this all over the place. 12 people on a rainy Tuesday, 1,000 people at Radical Indie, and it's not nasty. It's not nasty at all. It's joyous and it's glorious, and I've loved every minute of it. And anyone who didn't understand that should have been in that march as we walked all the way around together. And the suggestion that it was anti-English just sits in my head as if, my God, were any of you there? I was walking down, and at the Greens, I maybe even missed you. The Greens, there was an old couple, and they seen me in the telly, and I said, oh, I thought we'd be like that. And he said, you know something, this is the best fun I've had in so long. He said, we've been marching for nearly 50 years. And all that time, this is the first time I had something to march for. And look at the kids. They were, look at the kids. Look at who's out here today. And it was very emotional. And I say this without any need to even, it didn't even occur to me to mention, as far as I know, they were English. They had an English accent. I didn't ask them. I didn't point at them, but an English person. I just assumed it. The woman that runs our local campaign, two of the women that run our local campaign are English. It has got nothing to do with identity. Scotland's identity is fine. England's got a problem, but our identity is fine. In the 70s, you saw someone wearing a kilt at a wedding, you'd think they were making a point. By the 90s, if you see someone not wearing a kilt at a wedding, you assume they've got bad legs. I'm sorry, that's the problem. 1990, High Tories marched onto the field at Murrayfield and sung Flower of Scotland before we played the English. That was the moment when any question about Scotland's identity was over. And incidentally, I cannot resist saying this. Better Together, oh yes, the Scots are proudly Scottish and British. Proudly Scottish and British. Now I do a lot of stuff with polls, opinion polls, and I have a very, very, very mixed view of opinion polls that can tell you stuff. And I always say, I never believed that. I've never believed it from the get-go, just because I'm 40. I've never met a single person in this country who's described themselves as Scottish and British. Not once. So I was very sceptical about that. But hell, Better Together knows better than I do. And they kept saying it, we're all Scottish and British. Right up till the census came out and 62% of Scots said they were Scottish only. Did you see that? 62% of Scots said they were Scottish only. And Better Together said, no, I'm British. And did they make the front page of the Herald? Didn't even make the front page puff in the Herald. When you got to the story, they ran Scotland less religious than everyone else. My God, if one of the key claims of the Yes campaign had proved to be so incredibly fundamentally wrong, I think you would have seen it in the front page. Scotland, this identity problem was resolved. We have no issue with that. We are comfortable voting the way we vote. We've got a parliament that's like the parliament we wanted. And I'll say this, Labour or SNP, they're both closer to what, in Scottish Labour, for all my frustrations with them just now, they're still closer to what the people of Scotland want than London Labour or the Tories or anything that we've had in Britain. We've had no difficulty in voting for a parliament that we want. We have no difficulty in being Scottish anymore. This is something else. This is the start of the recognition that we can't go on like this anymore. We can't be stuck in a country which is run for a me-first attitude, which has left us all struggling. This is a movement. And this is the most coherent most serious movement that Britain has seen, challenging the economic orthodoxies that have brought poverty and misery right across Britain. We can make this different. We can win this, and I'm confident we can do this. And to anyone who's in here with political parties, I make one straight request to you. We need this message to be carried. We've got to stop being cautious. We never win a referendum. In fact, my professional background is I'm a political strategist. It's what I do. I worked as a political lobbyist for the most part of 20 years. I was a journalist and a political lobbyist for 20 years. And I'll just tell you point blank that if you want to get someone to back you in a 3-horse race, you can fidget your way into the middle. If you want someone to back you in a 2-horse race, you need to pull them to you because there's no middle. We cannot win this referendum on the basis of don't worry, it'll all be fine. That's a very good reason to do nothing. We have to inspire people all the way through this referendum. We have to give them a very strong vision of what a different Scotland and all of us first Scotland would look like compared to the me first Britain. If we can do that, we can win. We can win this referendum. I'm absolutely confident. I look at social demographics, and I don't know how much canvassing people in here have done, and I don't know what areas, but I can tell you the working class areas in Glasgow that Rick has done serious canvassing on, and a number of other places, they're polling 70-80%. There's a very, very high desire among groups who don't usually vote to do this, and it's the wealthy at the top who've done well at Britain's Me, comparatively well at Britain's Me first. They aren't moving yet. We don't need all of them to move. We have to move the people who would really benefit from an independent Scotland. And the prize is enormous. We can rebuild the society. Democratic, sharing, mutual, high social cohesion, decent social services, in fact more than decent social services, absolutely point blank, first-rate social services, using our natural resources for all of our collective wealth, with an economy which includes people and builds, and creates and manufactures and add value, not by exploiting people, but by using their labour and their skills and their knowledge. And we can build that. And the prize is even bigger than that. Because I don't know how many of you were in the march, but have you got any idea the extent to which the Catalans and the Basques and the Sardinians and the Corsicans and the Sicilians and the South Tyrolese and the Viennese and the Cornish and the Welsh and the Irish and many others are looking to us? We can set a model for this 21st century. A model of creating a democratic nation state with real democracy, where KPMG doesn't make the decisions, people do. A real democracy, with a real economy, with a real society where people feel part of that society and feel connected to each other again. And we can build that model in contrast to globalised capitalism, which doesn't give a damn about any of us. We can do that, and we can set a model. We will be, people talk about a beacon for the light, a beacon for the world. More than that, we will be a leader for all these other places in Europe who want to do the same thing, create a decent country for decent people. If Scotland can lead that, I mean, genuinely, years to come, they'll look back and they'll say, yeah, in the Enlightenment, Scotland invented everything. And then in the early 20th century, they pretty well invented everything again. And in the early 21st century, they invented an alternative to globalised capitalism and set a movement starting right across Europe that set people free from that. And that we did it together, because this is the last thing that I want to see. Well, until you ask questions, this is the last thing that I want to see, which is, you maybe heard people chucking out the word populism, as if it means populace. Can nothing do with popular. Populism, if you're being serious, comes from a completely other linguistic root, which is populace. Populism is a method of controlling societies by dividing them into a big bit and a little bit, and setting the big bit against the little bit. The case study example, this always happens whenever the elite screws up. The case study example being Nazi Germany. You know, the First World War wasn't a brilliant idea. Everybody suffered, so hey, let's point to the Jews. Right now in Britain, yeah, globalised financial capitalism in the city of London was madness. It was pure mental, and it fell apart. And so the poor, it's the poor, it's those skiving poor, hate the poor, hate the poor. Well, I'll tell you something. I don't want ever to be involved in politics where one citizen sets himself against another citizen. I'm happy to fight corporations, and I'm happy to argue with whomever, but I'm not going to point one against another and say we're no together. And that's why I say, again, all of us first. We have to build a movement and a meaning which can reconnect Scottish people who want to run a business, to build a business, with Scottish trade unions who want businesses worth working in, with communities who want to have facilities and want to have a sense of cohesion and reality, with the public service workers who deliver, but the carers who keep things